This month is Mental Wellness Month, and I have had the pleasure over the last year of doing 1,000 hours plus of helping people in terms of mental wellness, in terms of suicide, depression, anxiety and stress help. And I've helped many people, and I've been through my fair share myself. I had a near-death experience, I had a marriage breakdown, job loss, 3 years of chronic pain where I had an operation that went wrong, and then unfortunately another one that went wrong, and literally waking up sometimes 10 times a night like I was being punched in the stomach. And it was a pretty horrific time for me and for the people around me as well. So having learned from this and become a certified mental wellness practitioner, I've had the honour of sitting on a stage, a virtual stage, with some psychologists, psychiatrists and neuroscientists every single week, helping people with mental wellness issues when they came onto the stage and asked questions and asked for help. And we had this lady that came on a couple of months back now, and she came on and she said that she'd been in bed for 3 days and she was suicidal. At 13, she was sexually abused. At 19, she went into arranged marriage where she was sexually, verbally and physically abused for 3 years consistently. And she was suffering massively from post-traumatic stress disorder. And she said to us she'd been in bed for 3 days and she'd had no food for 2 days and no water for 1 day. And she was really struggling. We could tell it in her voice. Her energy was really low and we needed to help her. And there's a lot of back channel messages going, what are we going to do? Do we need to contact the authorities or whatever it might be? And we didn't quite know what to do. And I just put my hands on my heart and said to myself, how can I help this lady in the best possible way? Because when you're trying to help people in this situation, it's very important to come from your heart space rather than your head space, a sense of ego, whereas this is a sense of a higher place. So, and the weirdest thing came to me. And the answer that I got was make this girl gargle in a fun way and try and make her laugh. And obviously, you know, when you have someone who's coming in with suicidal tendencies and is telling you this, I don't know if gargling is the best possible thing. But I went with it. I said to her, I said, look, are you willing to play a game with me? And if you win the game, you're going to win a prize worth $1,000. And that will be a session in terms of mental wellness work with me. And she said, yes. And I'm a master teacher of 5 modalities of healing as well. So I do a lot of healing stuff as well as the mental wellness stuff and a mindset coach. And I said to her, I said, okay, well, I would like to make you the Clubhouse, which is the app that we were on doing the virtual stage. I would like you to make you the Clubhouse Gargle Champion. And she kind of was a bit hesitant to begin with, but then she said, okay, I'll give it a go because obviously there was a prize involved. And she obviously then had to get out of bed for the first time in 3 days. And so she got out of bed and I said, look, will you obviously get some water? And she got some water. And then once she had the water, then I said to her, I said, okay, let's just test the mic and give us a bit of a gulp. So she did her first gulp and I pretended that I couldn't hear her and said, come on, I didn't hear that, give us a bigger gulp. So she gave us a bigger gulp. Boom. And then I knew, of course, you know, that she had drunk some water. So I said to her, okay, girl, give us your first gargle. And she started to gargle. So she was like, ah. And I said, come on, girl, you can give it better than that. Come on, give it large. And I was really enthusiastic in giving it large. And suddenly, out of the blue, she suddenly started to giggle. So she had changed her own state from a state of suicidal tendencies to a state of laughing and gargling. And after 6 gulps, 6 gargles, lots of mic claps and cheering, she was in a completely different state, which was fantastic. And I said to her, I said, look, you won the prize, but will you just do one more thing for me as well? I said, and she said, yes. And I said, will you go to the kitchen? And if you've got some bread, can you take it out and take a slice of bread out? And she did. She had a slice of bread. And I said, I want you to look at that bread in a state of gratitude and understanding that bread was once a seed that was sowed into wheat, that was made into bread, that was delivered to that shop, that you then purchased to nutritionalize your body. And I want you to look at that bread in a state of gratitude, knowing all those people were involved in that. Then I want you to take a bite with gratitude. And I want you to taste with gratitude. And I want you to feel it in your mouth with gratitude. And I want you to hear it in your mouth with gratitude. And then I want you to swallow with gratitude as well. And she did. And I said, look, if you can feel gratitude for such a small thing as a piece of bread, you can feel gratitude for all the different things that you have in your life. Whether it be a roof over your head, food on your table, and also friends and family to support you in some way or form. And that's why gratitude is so important in life in terms of changing your state and changing your mindset as well. And she was in a completely different state. And we exchanged numbers on the back channel, and then I met with her 2 days later, keeping in touch with her just over those 2 days to make sure that she was all right. And when we met, we did a Zoom call for 2 hours. And during that Zoom call, I wanted to help reframe her mind. And I said to her, look, I'm not taking away from anything that happened to you whatsoever. But would you like to be able to release those energies, emotions, those stuck emotions within that, the resentment, the anger, the guilt, or the lack of forgiveness? Would you like to release those so that you can move forward in life and focus on what you want rather than what you don't want? And she said, yes, please. I said, well, okay. I said, I've had a near-death experience where I was dying and I was encapsulating this amazing feeling of love, energy, and connection. And in my belief, I believe that we come back down here again and again and again to learn, to grow, to evolve, to become better versions of ourselves. And that means that sometimes the hardships in life that we have are there to help us to grow. And I truly believe that if you look at those hardships and ask yourself while you're going through them, what am I learning here? What can I utilize here to grow here? And what can I utilize to help other people in terms of turning my mess into a message in some way or form? And sometimes by turning your mess into a message, you can create purpose in your life as well. And I said to her, I also believe because we come back again and again and again, and because we're really trying to grow and trying to become a better version of ourselves, if we were to commit suicide in any way, we're just going to have to come back and do it all over again. And actually, you know what? If you're going through hardships yourself in life, maybe pat yourself on the back, because maybe you've gone through this game of life so often that you're playing yourself at a higher level, like a PlayStation game, to see if you can go through these hardships, come out the other side, and be the best version of yourself, and turn your mess into a message to help other people in some way or form. So pat yourself on the back if you're going through some hard times, and understand that you can utilize these hard times to help raise consciousness of other people and let them go through the same things in an easier fashion. And I said this to her as well, and she agreed and she understood. And I said, right, what I want you to do is I want you to take your emotions out of the situation that you went through in the past. I want you to look down as if you're on the top floor of a building, back down yourself, and almost get into a godlike state so that you're looking at everybody on this planet are like brothers and sisters or sons and daughters. And anything that they've gone through, perhaps the reason why they were so horrific in their actions was because they were unloved, because they were abused, because they had something horrific happen to them. Because quite often, hurt people hurt people. And if you can change into that psyche and get into a godlike self and look at other people in a state of empathy and compassion and understanding in some way or form, not taking away in any way or form from what they did to you, but just a state of understanding so that you can move forward, so that you can forgive and understand for you, not necessarily for them, but for you, then you might be able to release those energies, emotions that are stuck within. Because I certainly believe that in life, sometimes the people that come into our lives mirror back areas that we need to release or suppressed in ourselves. And actually the word narcissist, I certainly believe sometimes can mean neglected awareness, reflecting conditionings in suppressed self, instigating soul transition in terms of an acronym. And what I mean by that is that sometimes those hardest people that come into our lives, the ones that are really, really testing, are the ones that help us release trauma that may be suppressed from childhood in order to allow us to become better versions of ourselves or learn from that situation to be able to help other people in some way or form as well. And once she had that understanding, she looked at the past in a different perspective. Because she knew that her husband had actually been abused himself because he had told her. And she knew that boy that was sexually abusing her at 13 as well also had gone through some pretty traumatic times because of his family issues and everything like that. And quite often, as I said, hurt people can hurt people. So she was able to reframe that in her mind. And then we did a forgiveness technique to allow her to forgive and let go. Not necessarily, as I said, for them, but for her as well. And I've seen this being very powerful in lots of different people. In fact, there's a lady that's been on my radio show who actually, her family was killed by a murderer, but she was able to face the murderer in prison and actually forgive him and let go. And it was the greatest thing that she could do for her own self as well. And I told Yao this as well. So Yao then visualized herself first in front of her heart and visualized her younger self, her 5-year-old self, and said to her younger self that I forgive you. And I let it go. And she put herself, her visualization self, into her heart. And then she did the same with the people who had wronged her in the past, and imagined an embrace of plutonic love between herself and themselves as well, in order to be able to implement that forgiveness and that understanding so that she could move forward in life. And those floods of tears, and there was a massive emotional change within her. And now this beautiful soul is out there, changing the hearts and changing ladies' lives who have gone through the same thing, because she's turned her mess into a message. Because she's been able to look at those hardships and turn those hardships into a sense of meaning for her as well. Because quite often we ask ourselves, why did this happen to me? But actually, when you utilize it in a positive way to help other people, it gives you a sense of meaning and a sense of purpose as well. So next time that you're going through a hard time, whether it be in a relationship, an ailment, or something like that, ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? What's mirroring back in this situation? And what can I utilize in this situation to learn, to grow, to evolve, to become a better version of yourself? I hope that helps.